Welcome to the Vol Report, brought to you by City Heating and Air Conditioning with Cooper Mays. I'm Dave Hooker. We're going to get into a little bit of Bison Lang, who Cooper has mentored throughout his time at Tennessee as the backup center. Also, we're going to get to something I've never asked Cooper that I don't know why. Is the center position more difficult or more important in a Josh Heupel offense as opposed to the other offenses that he's been in? And we're going to talk some Tennessee baseball. Hit that like and subscribe button for Coop. And we're almost in football season, so it's getting exciting. Cooper, how are you, sir?
I'm great. How are you, brother?
Never better. You look fantastic. It is the off season. Usually it's quiet around Knoxville in June and July, but it hasn't been this year. What's it been like being on campus with the national champion baseball Vols? I never thought I'd say that.
No, yeah, no, definitely not. Not when I was younger. No, pretty cool. Not really, not pretty cool. Actually, just really, really cool. I actually, we don't have a ton of interaction with the baseball players just because, we're so busy doing our things and our schedules don't really line up where we're together at all. And they have their own facility and we have our own facility, kind of. So it's different. But I've had a class with a couple of guys in there on the baseball team and just a bunch of great dudes and super happy to see them do great things this year.
Hey, I want to throw something. Can I be old Dave for a second?
Go ahead.
Okay. You said they have their facility, you have your facility. This is how different things were when I started covering Tennessee football. In spring practice, do you know where spring practice was held for about half of spring practice?
I guess you're about to say the baseball field.
In the outfield of Lindsey Nelson.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, no, I wouldn't be a fan of that. Oh,
Well, not only was it hot for the players, but it wasn't great for the field. Can you even imagine that?
no, that's terrible. And then that puts a whole nother conflict in there because I mean spring is right when baseball's, getting the thick of things and everything. I don't know how they well, I mean, I guess they didn't really care. I mean
that was the thing. And to me, you tweeted out about the baseball team how cool it was. And that's the thing. It seems like everybody on campus cares. The word you just used, cares. I'm not sure that was maybe the case 10 years ago.
I think it's really all the sports have done really good while I was here. So I've had a lot of special times with just kind of all throughout the sports. But specifically baseball, man, baseball's been super good the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
The whole time I've been here for this is the fifth year now. I mean, they've been studs the whole time we've been here, and they've been, almost it seems like they've been like the number one or top five team probably consistently the whole time I've been here. I don't know if they've even gotten out of the top five. So just watching that, I don't even like watching baseball. But I watch Tennessee play baseball, and I love it. So they've done some really special stuff here for sure.
The Vol Report with Cooper Mays brought to you by City Heating and Air Conditioning. City Heat and Air integrity matters, and it absolutely does. Hit the like and subscribe button. 50 years in Tennessee. I don't want to go psychologist on you, Coop, but when you see somebody achieve the ultimate level of success as the baseball team did, does that make it in your mind more achievable as a football team?
Um, I don't know. Maybe more motivated. I don't know about more achievable. I think everybody kind of knows. I think people expect it. Expect championships at this level. So I think everybody thinks it's achievable. I know everybody knows that it's very hard to do. I think it's very challenging and it's extremely tough to have one of those years. But everybody expects it and we expect it. So no, I think it's about the same still.
You just use the word expect. I'm not sure that you would have used expect in a championship when you came to Tennessee. That's got to be a fantastic mindset to have going into your senior year.
No doubt. I mean, Coach Hype always talks about it. He talks about, I think we've talked about it on this podcast before, but how much or how great teams think and how they operate. And he talks about hope and believe is always going to get crushed, but expect is what great teams do. So that's what we're trying to do here.
Expect is what great teams do. I like that. I might steal that along with all the other sayings that I've stole from you over the years. I want to ask, or it's been a couple of years now. I want to ask you about Bison Lang, who I guess technically people could get shifted around, but I think if you looked at the depth chart, he would be the second team center. So specifically, what do you like about him, and what do you think about Bison's game to this point?
I like how you know he's super open and available when it comes to me helping him and stuff. I I don't think there's been one time where he's looked at me when I told him something and not just been like, "Yep, okay, all right, okay," or I'll get it done or whatever. So I think he takes what I'm trying to help him with, and I think he knows that sometimes I may be tough, but I think he sees it for what it is, and he's still a young guy. I mean, he just was a freshman this past year, so he's got a lot of years ahead of him.
So you say you're tough on him. Are you tough on him at times?
Yeah, I mean, everybody's. I mean, you gotta be tough on people, or else they won't really respect what you're saying nowadays. Usually, so that's kind of that's kind of how it goes.
How good are you at? Because I think just random compliment. You seem like a natural born leader to me. So, how much do you try to read people, Coop, as far as different? Because everybody gets motivated by different stuff. Some people like being yelled at. Some people that they go the wrong with it. How much do you evaluate players, their personality, and that sort of thing?
I don't even know if it's like a leadership thing or whatever you want to call it, but I kind of read people in general. Like that's just I don't know if it's because of how I grew up and what brought that side out of me or whatever, but I don't know. I've always read people. I mean, as soon as I meet somebody in the first whatever how long I've been together with them for about 10 minutes, I've probably figured out a lot about them. So um, yeah, everybody's different. You got to kind of talk to people different. You can't treat everybody the same, no matter what people want to think. You gotta play towards people's needs and figure out the best way to communicate to them.
Um, Going back to Bison for a moment, what's his next step? What do you think he wants to work on this offseason and end of the season?
I think just overall, just um, man, that's a good question. I would say more like overall, just the body makeup and getting himself ready to play SEC football. I mean, it's hard. Nobody's ready to play SEC football out of the gate in high school or coming out of high school, especially in the O line and D line. So just trying to get that right and get ready, and just if his number gets called, he can play.
I've said that for years that it's pretty much impossible to go from high school to the SEC on the line. I think I've seen one true freshman, Michael Munoz. I don't know if you remember him, but I think he started the very first game as a freshman at left tackle. Other than that, I can't think of anybody. I mean, how big of a jump is it? Is there any way you could quantify that for people that may not understand?
I mean, it's there's like no way to be consistently successful when you're that young, and like because that's what people don't really understand is everybody thinks that like a freshman should be playing just because they were really good in high school and they're super athletic, and maybe some positions you can, but when you're talking about O line and D line, I mean, first of all, the person that they're playing against is 3 to 4 years deeper into a college strength program, so just out of physicality, just makeup and physical ability, they're going to have 4 years more of strength training. So that's right off the bat. And then you add in that person's probably been playing for 2 years. So they understand where to put their hands, how to use their hands, the angles that they need to do. They know how to read the play, read blocks. I mean, it's literally unfair to put a freshman in, is what I would say. Like personally, like I think I think it's very not good to have a freshman playing O line and D line. And that's coming from somebody who played. I started a couple games,
Right.
like, and I played in every game I mean, I was the tight end for a couple games, but that was still in the trenches. And it was not friendly at all. Like it's not what you want to be doing. Regardless of everybody's gonna say, like, if you would have asked me back then, I'd be like, hell yeah, I want to play. Put me in. I'd be
Exactly.
for it. Like I'm ready for it. I've been ready. But Realistically, no, it's not. It's not. It's not healthy. That's for sure.
It's funny because it may be your brother, but who's the closest to being ready to play on the O line out of high school that you've ever seen as a true freshman?
Um, obviously Trey Smith. Trey Smith was more than ready to play. I didn't see him in person. Um, really, really special. What like I don't think people realize. I mean, K started like 7 or 8 games. I think his freshman year, maybe even more than that. I'll say 8. It could be more. It could be one less. But he played multiple games at left tackle and at right guard. Started multiple games at both sides, and technically started a game at tight end his freshman year. And this is, I mean, like Georgia's O line that year. I mean, there was 2 first rounders, and everybody else got drafted below the 5th round. I mean, like that was the best O line in college football, hands down that year. And my brother came straight out of high school and got a couple starts or a lot of starts, started the majority of the year. So that was pretty crazy. That was
Wow.
I didn't realize kind of how special that stuff was, but like that was kind of unheard of.
No, it was insane. I mean, to just walk into one of the best programs and play as much as he did, I was very very impressed. You mentioned that he played left tackle and moved to right guard. I don't see as much guard to tackle and tackle to guard in this system at Tennessee. That may just be coincidence, but
Right.
are they treated somewhat like two different positions? I mean, they are different positions, but do you know what I'm saying? The skill set.
It's not. I think that's kind of just more Coach Ellerby, probably. I mean, like it's hard. There's not a lot of. Let me just basically preface this. There's not a lot of guys that can learn. Like it's easy. It's easier for a guy to learn right and left tackle, right? Because it coincides. Yes, it's all backwards, but it coincides. When you add in that going from maybe for Cade's instance, left tackle to right guard, you're flipping sides and you're flipping a responsibility. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that sounds
Like
incredibly different.
when you're on left tackle and right tackle, it's the same responsibility just flipped. But he's like for him to trade spots, and he was playing center all throughout that too in practice. I mean, like it's very very rare to have people that can play all the different positions.
Who's
But it all stems from. I will say this: if you learn the center position first, and like early in your career, it helps you learn everybody because you have to make the calls for everybody. So if you learn center, by default, you learn all the other positions too because you're having to tell everybody what to do theoretically. So that kind of helped him because he went down there early in the spring, like he graduated early enrolled, and then had extra time to learn it, and then played all the positions. So yeah, that's what he did.
Yeah, and you've talked about before that you could play multiple positions, but how nice is it if you're a guard or a tackler, in your case, a center, to be able to focus on one thing? Because I under Philip Fulmer, they would go from guard to tackle and tackle to guard all the time, even in preseason camp, Coop. And
Right.
um, that just doesn't seem to be the case anymore in football in general. How helpful is that for you to learn that position?
It's been helpful for me. I can also say for Cade, sometimes it was like for a lot of his career, like it was something that he like struggled with. Like but nowadays it was something he struggled with because he's like, man, I just can't get a rhythm going. I'm always flipped around. Like I once I start feeling good right here, I'm off to the next position, and it was like a struggle for him. But nowadays he's like owned it. Like he's like this is my strength. You know what I'm saying? This is who I like. This is how I make my money. Is I know the coach can look at me and say, hey, left guard went down, Cade, go out there and get it done. And he can,
Versatility.
right. Or the center went down, Cade, go ahead. That like I mean that's something you got to own, and it stinks at first. Like you feel like you can't get like a certain spot that is just solidified. But I always tell kids when they get moved around early in the career that like it's the biggest blessing that you can have is learning all of them. Especially if you're like there's when you add in the mental part, but there's a whole nother aspect to it where size limits a lot. Like me, I couldn't go out. I know what the tackle does on every play. I know that. Like I know what I would be doing, but my body type won't allow me to play tackle. K just got blessed with a 6'5.5", 320-pound frame. So like he can be any position on the line just because he's right in that sweet spot that's not too big or not too small for any spot on the line. So
Let me
there's a lot that goes into it.
Yeah, he's certainly a special athlete. It's interesting you mentioned Trey Smith as well. Darnell Wright, on the other hand, was a little bit more of a late bloomer. Is that fair or is that too strong?
I mean, kind of just fell into the thing of no matter how athletic and strong you are, you know, if somebody's been playing for 2 or 3 years, their hands and their movement and ability to read you is a lot better than yours, you know. So Darnell, while he was way more than athletic enough and strong enough to play at that level, even with how young he was ready physically, but technically sound and like mentally probably wasn't where he needed to be to have like a consistent successful season and game, you know. So I mean, I think versus Alabama, I think he gave up two or three sacks
Mhm.
versus Terrell Lewis, I think was his name, or 24. And it wasn't because Terrell Lewis is a better player. I mean, yeah, he was. I think he was like a second round draft pick. Like, definitely was a great player. Um, but Darnell was more talented than he was, naturally gifted,
Mhm.
but just didn't have all the tools put together yet.
Fair enough. Last thing, I'll let you out of here. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button if you want to hear some insight from Coop, brought to you by City Heating and Air Conditioning. Integrity matters. 50 years in East Tennessee. Who's the most versatile Tennessee offensive lineman? I think I know, but I want to see what you say.
It would be Dane, I guess, right?
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah,
What makes
yeah.
him so versatile, you think?
Him being able to know it all. He knows everything. I mean, he knows when stuff goes wrong. He knows what to do. I mean, it's just he knows every position.
Who knows more about this offense? You or Dane? I
Um,
won't. I
probably,
won't.
honestly, probably like about the same.
I won't.
But
I know. Just kidding. Won't put
there's
you
some
on.
stuff. There's some stuff I screw up and he gets me right, and there's some stuff he screws up and I get him right. Or there's some stuff he screws up and it screws me up, and then I get really mad. But
Well, he's definitely versatile. We've seen that previously. He is Cooper Mays. I'm Dave Hooker. The Vol Report with Coop, brought to you by City Heating and Air Conditioning. Do you know how many days it is till the first game, Coop? Do you keep track of that?
is it 64 right now?
Let me find out. Siri, how many days is it till August 31st? 64. You do count it down pretty
Yeah.
strong.
There you go.
He's Cooper Mays. I'm Dave Hooker. This has been a presentation of Off the Hook Sports.